Yesterday, audio was released of the Arizona Republican Party chair offering Kari Lake a bribe to drop out, disappear for a couple of years, saying things like, maybe there's a company that will put you on the payroll. Your voice could be so much bigger. Just get out for the next 2 years. Some of the most shocking revelations from this. Kari Lake says they're going to try to have me murdered on the recording. And the man offering the bribe says that if he goes public, they will murder him too. But who is they, though? That's the big question. I mean it seriously. Who is they, though? He says people back east. Very powerful people. Now we have some developments on this story. Kari Lake is demanding the resignation of Arizona Republican Party chair who offered her a bribe not to run. It is being speculated, and I think it's probably correct, Kari Lake was recording herself, and she may do this often. We have a breakdown from a local press outlet as to some of the more important things that were said. But what I find fascinating, the headline should be New York Times front page. GOP party chair fears assassination after bribing Senate candidate to bow out of the race. Ladies and gentlemen, as the saying goes, they're not conspiracy theories. They're spoiler alerts. The narrative machine has shattered. The ability of the uniparty to control what people see, think, and hear is gone. Can you believe this? I mean, look, 10 years ago, Epstein was a conspiracy theory, and you were a crackpot for believing any of that stuff could be happening. Now it's fact. We still haven't gotten the client list. I wonder how much more will be coming out. The machine has kept a tight lid and has been able to control public perception for a very long time. Now we have outright statements from prominent individuals. JFK was assassinated by the CIA. LBJ wanted him out. Really? Man, I can only speculate as to when they come out and claim the moon landing actually didn't happen. Now, my view is still, of course, that we did land on the moon because I got to be honest, I don't think it's that difficult. And what I mean by that is, certainly it is a great feat of humanity, but we have rocketry. This week you can witness and you can do yourself. Blasting someone on a rocket to land on a rock in the sky, I don't actually think is all that much more complex. I mean, just do some math. However, I will say this as we get into the reality that all these conspiracy theories are coming true, and we now have an exposed conspiracy from powerful elites who apparently invoke fear of assassination in politicians. It's real. I'll just say, I do like the conspiracy theory. I believe it's plausible that the moon is a graveyard. The idea being, you can get to the moon. I think anybody recognizes we can blast a rocket into space and calculate where it's going to land. That's not even as hard as a Sudoku puzzle. Okay, it's a lot harder, but you get my point. The question is getting back. And there's a conspiracy theories that we sent more than just the original teams to the moon, and the first few couldn't get back. Yeah. Look, man, I've seen rockets blow up in the sky on numerous videos. You think we nailed it on our first attempt? Now, to be fair, a lot of people said we didn't. We did flybys before we actually tried to land on the moon to calculate and get all the data. Yeah, so whatever, man. Look, if news comes out proving the moon landing was fake, I'm just going to be like, dude, I don't even know at this point. I'll take it because this is a crazy story. And now, with this audio being revealed, we're basically at the point where y'all could claim anything and the uniparty, the establishment, has zero credibility. Kari Lake demands resignation of Arizona Republican Party chair who offered her a bribe not to run. As we're getting into this, my friends, of course, support the show. Go to timcast.com, click join us, because this show is made possible in part thanks to viewers like you. That's really it. If you like the work that we do, go to timcast.com, click join us, become a member. You'll get access to our Discord server, our Timcast IRL uncensored shows, and you help this company operate. Kari Lake on Tuesday demanded the resignation of Arizona Republican Party chair Jeff DeWitt after Daily Mail published audio of the moment last year when he appeared to try to bribe her not to run for the U.S. Senate. Now, the question is, actually, was it him? Who actually made the offer? Who was he fearing would kill him? We'll go through what was said, but let me play some clips for you. We have this tweet from Robbie Starbuck. He says, wow, the part where Kari Lake says they may kill her for not taking this deal. And then Jeff follows up mentioning the cartels are operating in 50 states. Sounds like a threat to me. Never been more proud to have been the first to endorse Kari Lake when she ran for governor. Take a listen.
Choice. Don't tell people.
They're going to try to have me murdered.
I don't doubt that either. Today's world, man. If that stuff that came out last week is right about the cartel stuff, man. They said the cartel's operating in 50 states right now. Like all 50, you know? So
what's going on? Who is it? What?
Forget the who. Let me just tell you the what.
Jeez.
Let's just say there are people calling around saying, gosh, no, they can't repeat this. Never repeat this. If you say no, don't, because say, I got offered to buy out. Don't use it.
Never repeat.
We lose our ability to get things done. In the future.
Because then we lose our ability to get these things done in the future.
Here's my problem. Rather than just say, let's work with her. She's a great candidate. Because they don't own me. And it pisses me off.
Yeah, I said I was about ownership.
Now, here's the next big part, in my opinion. Around the 9-minute mark, Jeff says that he will be killed if he went public with this. Let me play for you the last minute of the audio released by Daily Mail.
Well, let's see what happens. Maybe my case will go through. Maybe they'll do the right thing.
I hope so.
I do too. That's my first goal. Yeah. But they can't have me in the governor's office because then we're going to root out some of this corruption.
But again, it's like...
You know what it is? The people don't get to choose their elected officials unless they're pre-approved by the swamp. And the swamp doesn't pre-approve of me.
You need a strong party to help.
I think you should go public with this and then say, hey,
no.
These people don't want to, they don't want,
they're... And then I turn my key in my car and I just... I like my car.
Tell them I'm not flattered. I'm a...
Kari Lake says you should go public with this, to which Jeff DeWitt responds, no. Then I turn my key in my car and it goes... This is amazing. I mentioned this last night. And, we run a fairly prominent operation here at Timcast. That's why I say support our work at timcast.com. We get millions of views. In 2020, we were averaging in the last couple months of the year around 120 million hits per month. It's kind of crazy. I had prominent leftist organizations saying that we were the biggest conservative, far right, whatever, and we need to be taken down. And we were getting like 1 million hits on every episode of IRL in the 2020 election. It was wild. We were swatted 15 times, I believe, in 2022, starting on January 6th. I have received credible death threats. People have sent us fake bombs. With that being said, I could not name a single individual of power and great stature who I could ever say would kill me. Now, I know. I'm just an internet guy. The reason why I bring this up is not to make it about me. It's to make the point that despite all of the threats that I've received, there is no one I could say, it's like, oh, if I crossed that person, they'd end my life. I mean, I'm sure that people want me dead, I guess. This guy, Jeff DeWitt, he is not a massively prominent individual. He's a backroom connected individual who said people back east want you out, and those people he fears will kill him. What the are you involved in? That's crazy. Kari Lake says they're going to try to have me murdered. That I get. Kari, up your security, man. Here we go. As she arrived at Donald Trump's campaign party in Nashua, New Hampshire on Tuesday evening, she told DailyMail.com the American people had had enough. The people are rising up and saying, no, we want our country back. We want our government back, and we will no longer put up with one more ounce of corruption. And the truth is all coming out now. What's fascinating is that Kari Lake made these claims a while ago, that she'd been offered a bribe to drop out of the race. And of course, the corporate press says, what a conspiracy theorist. Now, I believe the audio was recorded by Kari Lake. So there's a question of why wait this long to release it? I don't think it's actually that complicated. Some may make the assumption that it was waiting for an opportune moment. Criticize Kari for it or praise her for it. Was it a smart decision or was it a selfish decision? I think it's actually reasonable to say When you're sitting on audio where a man says that they're going to kill him if this gets released, you may be a little bit reluctant to publicize that audio. Unless, of course, things get bad enough, you decide, you know what? Maybe I should release this audio. I've had stories in my career where there's questions of whether or not you should publish. And, you know, the tough thing is I've had insider information on like media deals, we'll put it that way, that I think are pertinent to the average person's, they should know about how big tech operates and stuff like this. So, you know, I've had some of these stories where it comes to the line where I'm like, if this story was actually a bit more important, I would violate journalistic ethics to release it to the public because, in fact, that would be upholding the ethics. The public's right to know outweighs the other elements of journalistic ethics. That is, minimizing harm and protecting sources and things like this. I've had people confide in me things where I'm like, wow, I think the public should know that, but I don't think it's the most important thing in the world. So I'm going to protect my sources and keep it off the record. They're tough decisions. It's not easy. The issue being primarily for me is someone brings me information. And if that information is revealed, the person who brought it to me could lose their life, be harmed, could destroy their life in other ways. And so the question is the public's right to know outweighing the safety of the individual who released it? I got to tell you, if someone ever comes to me off the record and they say, here's key information, but don't share it with anybody, I'm providing this to you off the record, but the information is pertinent to the survival and benefit of humanity. Yeah, sorry. Off the record means very little. And that's a challenge. In my circumstances, as I want to stress this, it's never reached that point. It's always been like, well, that is an important story people should know about, but it's not going to change an election. It's not going to, you know, it's interesting. But I'll stress, if it ever got to that threshold, I would. That's the challenge. For Kari Lake, I wonder if her thoughts were, I don't want Jeff to be murdered. And so it's just really, I can't release this stuff. If I put this audio recording out, they're going to kill him or me. It's tough. When asked if he should now resign, she said, I believe he should. DeWitt and his office have not responded to multiple requests for comment, but local party officials have demanded he leave his post. Lake had previously discussed the extraordinary effort to keep her out of the race, but never revealed who was behind it. On Monday, Arizona talk show host Garrett Lewis named DeWitt, who was elected chairman of the party in January last year. Audio obtained by Daily Mail revealed how he made his offer at her home in early March last year. There are very powerful people who want to keep you out, he can be heard saying. DeWitt tells Lake, 54, one of the most public faces of the former president's MAGA movement and a woman frequently spoken of as a 2024 vice presidential pick, that he thinks Trump will lose. And it's time to make way for someone else. So the ask I got today from back east was, is there any companies out there or something that could just put her on the payroll to keep her out? Now, there's a portion of the audio recording that says it's inaudible, but what I believe he says, because I'm not trying to read what they write because that can trick you. I'll explain in a second. He says something like, do you know of anyone who lost, ran, and then won? Because I can't think of anyone. Paraphrasing. Be careful. When audio is released and it's hard to understand, someone may write text, which actually there's a really funny video where it's guys are chanting like a rugby game or something, and it's hard to know exactly what they're saying. I don't even know. There's 6 choices. They're saying things like, that was embarrassing, pirate ship sailing, and depending on which one you're reading, it sounds like the crowd is chanting whatever that sentence may be. We don't actually know. I think they may have been chanting like, that was embarrassing. I don't know. The point is this. If someone says something and the text at the bottom says something slightly different, your brain absorbs the wrong data because the text can trick you. So that's why be careful when you're seeing videos like this, not to read the audio right away. Try and listen to what they're saying and make it out for yourself, then read. But that being said, there's one point where it says inaudible, but it sounds like he's saying, do you know of anybody who lost, ran, and then won? Because I can't think of anyone, or something like that. The point he's making to Kari Lake is, you lost. You lost the governor's race. Running again, you're not going to win. But I think the issue here is that both Jeff DeWitt and Kari Lake say on this recording, the election was stolen. So it's not an issue of whether Kari Lake lost or not. It's an issue of whether or not it was fair. I believe that the Arizona election for the governor's race is a stolen election. And the reason why is not because I have direct evidence of fraud or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that hundreds of machines broke. Ballots were printed on the wrong size paper. That's a fact. At that point, it is a disputed election. And we do not want disputed elections. Now, the Democrats argue, no, it wasn't. We won. Well, I don't care what you're arguing. We know the machines were broken. So just do another election. And if you won, you'll win again. Why is that so hard? They didn't. They refused. And the judges said, shut up to Kari Lake. Despite the fact machines broke and people complained about it. Remarkable, isn't it? And they lie about it. That's what they do. The Hill reports, Kari Lake calls on Arizona GOP chair to resign. Just showing another source here, backing up. He's got to resign. We can't have somebody who is corrupt and compromised running the Republican Party, Lake told an NBC reporter at former President Trump's New Hampshire primary victory party. Wow. It's so wild. Absolutely insane. We are seeing the exposing of a legitimate political conspiracy. So I ask you again, my friends, who is they, though? I know it's a funny meme, and I'm honored to have been involved in the who is they, though meme. Kanye West comes on the show, yay. And we're talking about they. And he says, oh, who is they, though? And I'm like, the corporate press, the media establishment, powerful political elites. Oh, he wanted to say the Jews. No, that's stupid. Are there powerful, prominent Jewish people who are in business? Of course. There's also powerful, prominent Irish people and black people, too. Are there a lot of Jewish people in media? Sure. There are a lot of Irish people running banks. I think that's funny. When we were talking to after Ye storms out of the room, we decided to look up who actually ran the banks because people were pointing out in the chat. They were like, dude, the banks aren't run by Jews. And it's mostly Irish people. That's what was funny, like Moynihan and stuff like that. And I'm like, these are Irish guys. When did the Irish people take? Oh, come on. Look, I don't judge a person based on their ethnic or religious background. I take it into consideration, but I'm more interested in their political affiliations. You know, right now with like the Palestine-Israel stuff, oh boy, here we go. You've got conservative Jewish people who are saying this is nuts. You've got liberal Jewish people defending Gaza. It doesn't matter that they're Jewish. They disagree politically. But anyway, more to the point, and to get off that subject, who is they, though? This guy saying back east. I'm east. I'm an hour from Washington, D.C. We really love hanging out at National Harbor. It's awesome. If you ever go to D.C., check out National Harbor. It's beautiful. There's great restaurants. They got a casino. Oh, boy. And the fun thing about the casino is they have like this strip of like little, you know, fast food restaurants. It's fun. It's fun. Don't gamble money you can't afford to gamble with. Here's my advice for everybody who wants to go to a casino. Here's how I play. You take $100 out or $200. That's your entertainment for the night. You sit down, you play some games. You might get a free weekend. See, this is the thing that's really funny about it, just as an aside. When people are like casinos are bad or degenerate, it's like, dude, if you go to a bar and you spend a bunch of money hanging out, you lose that money. If you're hanging out with your friends, casino, you actually have like a 50-50 chance of not losing any money as you're hanging out. That's why I like playing games. But that being said, don't waste money. But back east, the reason I bring this up is that, interestingly, I've been informed that the National Harbor MGM is the highest grossing casino in the country. Now, you may be saying, but wait, what? What about Vegas? Maybe. I could be wrong, but this is what they say. This is what people talk about in the casino, that it's the DC area. Why? Dirty money needs to be cleaned. Interesting. Now, I'm not here to accuse MGM of doing anything untoward. I don't know. But there are rumors that the reason why MGM makes so much money is that just outside of Washington, D.C., when backroom deals are being cut, you're going to need to explain how you came into this money. So you hop on down to the old casino and you hang out, buy and play some games. And when you cash out, let me tell you guys a secret. How do you transfer illicitly money politically? Let me tell you a technique they do. These are the rumors that circulate in these circles. back east as to how these bribes get paid. Now, of course, you always have is there a company that can put Kari Lake on payroll? Some big company says, we'll carve out $500,000 a year for you, 2 years. You make $1 million, and then you come back into the race. That's a dirty game it appears they're playing. But let me tell you my favorite, high stakes poker. Oh, yeah. See, I love poker. Texas Hold'em is my game. The Cadillac of poker, they call it. But understand this about places like D.C. You get a guy who wants to bribe another guy, but you can't do it. You go to jail. I mean, if you're caught in any way negotiating bribery, you get in trouble. But what if you said, my friend, how about you and I play a high stakes poker with the boys? We'll buy in for $100,000 each. We'll play what's called 5, 10. No, let's call it $100,000. I think they're going to be playing like 100, 200, 400 maybe. What that means is there are 2 forced bets in poker, small and big blinds. 100, 200 means every rotation, like every time a full table rotation happens, I don't want to explain all the details, but you have a forced bet of, you'll put in $300 from the big blind, 200 from the small blind, 100. So you buy in $100,000 into the table. Now, how do you bribe someone in politics and give them the money, laundering it? It's so easy. You see, poker's a game of bluffs and skill. And so here's what happens. The guy making the bribe, sitting at the table, they just play a game of poker, betting here and there. The guy who is to receive the bribe, they both wait until the opportune moment. Looks like a normal high-stakes game to everybody else, and you'll never be able to prove otherwise. The dealer deals out the cards, and the guy making the bribe looks down at a mediocre hand. Not that good, but good enough. Something reasonable to where he says, I'm gonna raise. Puts more money in the middle. Let's say he bets $10,000 out of his $100,000. Everybody folds because they're like, ooh, 10 grand, that's a big bet. But the guy to receive the bribe says, you know what? I think my hand is better than yours. I'm going to raise. And then he puts in $30,000 of his own money. Now you may be saying, wait, hold on, Tim. How is the guy who's supposed to receive the bribe putting money into the middle? But wait, let me explain. The guy giving the bribe then goes all in, pushes $100,000 into the middle of the table. Pure bluff. At least that's what he'd argue. The man who receives the bribe smiles and says, I call, flicks a chip into the middle, pushes all his money in the middle. The guy making the bribe goes, "Aw, rats, you got me. I was bluffing," and flips over a bad hand. Let's say it's not that good. And the guy to receive the bribe flips over a good hand. Now, of course, there's no guarantees that either is actually going to win. Like the guy who's supposed to receive the bribe will win. But I can explain, in better detail how you can pull these things off. The end result is the guy who's supposed to receive the bribe waited until he had pocket aces, the best hand, 82% chance to win, wins the pot, takes all the money, and then goes, "Look at me. I had a good day at the casino and just won." But they both know the other guy, they colluded, which is illegal, and he did it to make a reasonable move as to how the money was transferred. The guy receiving the win actually knows the dude only put the money in knowing he was going to lose because it was a bribe. So, I'm not accusing, again, I want to stress this. MGM is a fine establishment. I am saying there are criminals who will exploit these casinos' properties to try and launder money. Everybody knows they do. So when I hear about back east, and you hear these stories about the highest grossing casinos, oh boy. Now, I can explain a much simpler way. I mean, the issue with that one is it gets a little complicated. But let's say there's a guy who knows he has a losing hand. The board runs out. It's called the board. The 5 cards appear on the board. Both players look at their hands. And the guy who wants to make the bribe knows he cannot win. He has king high. So he goes, "I'm all in." And the guy to receive the bribe has a pair and goes, "I call. Haha, you are bluffing and I've won your money." You can easily arrange these things. And people talk about how that's how they make the deals. That's how they make the bribes. It is completely reasonable to assume wealthy individuals like gambling and playing poker. And the guy is trying to figure out how he can give $100,000 to this other guy. How do you do it? because they're going to be looking into how you make these contributions and how you make these donations. And there's one method. There's a bunch of methods, don't get me wrong, for how they recycle money and launder money through casinos. Many of these casinos are just like, look, we're not involved. You use the system as it's legally allowed, and then any criminal activity is on you. But my point here is just the back east comment. I love it. Who are they referring to? It's got to be D.C. Maybe New York? Probably not. I think it's D.C. I think it's D.C. and the surrounding areas. I think, what is it, like the most expensive neighborhood in the country is just outside of D.C.? That may be true. I'm not sure. I think I've driven through it. And like every house is this ridiculous mansion with insane security. Powerful people and a lot of money reside in this area. When you're dealing with the seat of politics, you have people flying from all over the world. Let me give you a better example to understand the point of bribery. How can a foreign dignitary give $100,000 to an American politician or political group? Writing a check is going to be scrutinized by the FEC or by, the SEC depends. But if a prominent, wealthy, Saudi comes to DC and wants to find a way to transfer $100,000 as a bribe to someone they're not legally allowed to, they can just lose it in a poker game. Whoops. So long as it's done at a casino with high stakes, no problem. It doesn't even need to be one big bet. He can keep buying back in and be like, I guess I'll buy back in. And there's ways to clean the money up. And then what are you going to say? This guy gave you the money. No, he didn't. He lost it fair and square. I won that. How dare you claim otherwise? He was bad at poker. It's funny, isn't it? Oh boy, man, the games that are being played. Let me just say this. The scenario I described, it's legit. Like, people do that. It's illegal. Now we got this story. Kari Lake releasing this audio. Everything you might think about what's going on behind the scenes in politics, we're now learning it's real. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.